This season on Team 200.
RAD, baby. Been hunting this bear all week.
I grunted at him. He come running back in. We just smoked another giant.
Just an absolute giant. Lifetime bull for me.
Team 200 is presented by MoonGuide. Plan your best hunt.
You know, the majority of your deer herd, your does, your immature bucks, those deer are going to be moving the same time every day for the most part. You know, outside of the rut, mature bucks just don't move every day during daylight. You know, and he wants to get up and move and feed, but everything that he's learned over the years is telling him to stay put and to be safe. You know, unless he's got wind in his favor to feel safe and comfortable enough to get up and move before dark, and if he's got that red moon, that gravitational pull hitting at prime time in the evening when he normally wants to move anyway. It's all about stacking the deck in your favor and lining those things up. You know, it's very rarely ever one thing. It's more of a system and, you know, putting as many things in your favor as you can. And when you can line up the wind, the weather, and the moon, it's like a perfect storm.
The mature whitetail buck is a fascinating creature. Crepuscular by nature, these survival experts are a different animal than the rest of the herd. The longer they survive, the harder they are to see during daylight, and the tougher they are to kill. These stealthy animals learn to move on the edge of darkness or die. Other than the urge to breed, what makes a cagey-old buck move during daylight when his instincts and experience tell him to stay put until the safety of darkness arrives? Some veteran hunters believe it's the weather that influences these mature deer to move during daylight. Other sportsmen focus on the proper wind to catch a giant buck moving during the day. There is also a growing number of hardcore whitetail hunters who believe it's the moon that triggers the biggest bucks to risk moving in the light of day. By focusing on the position of the moon in the sky and its gravitational pull, not the phase of the moon, more and more avid sportsmen are focusing in on this natural factor to give them the upper hand on world-class whitetails. From triggering the tides to the regulation of the seasons, the moon's influence on mature bucks moving during daylight might be one of hunting's best-kept secrets yet.
I really think it boils down to three factors, and that's the wind, the weather, and the moon. You know, all of those three factors can influence activity, but I believe it's when you combine two or three of them that makes it deadly. You know, the wind and the weather cock the hammer to get those animals up to feed early, but it's the moon and that gravitational pull hitting at prime time in the evening is what really pulls the trigger and gets those animals up before dark.
Ohio, big buck down. Look at the character. Big split brow tine here. Just gorgeous.
Big Kansas buck. Wow.
My biggest Kansas whitetail ever.
I actually tell clients it's more important to be there on the red moon than on opening day, because the moon's going to affect the deer movement more than pressure. So definitely early and late season, I plan on this. But even like rut, if you can plan towards, again, putting everything on your side, it's a game changer.
Coming up next.
Nice mass. Really good mass.
Team 200 is brought to you by Yeti, built for the wild. Whitetails Unlimited, working for an American tradition. Whitetail Institute. Research equals results. Luminoc. Light 'em up. Banks Outdoors. Hunting blinds, deer feeders, and watering systems. Radical Archery Products. Proudly made in America. And by Black Eagle. Stick and Pick. Vapor Trail. Big Shot Targets. And Sitka. This week's Monster Minute is brought to you by Whitetail Institute.
It's no secret that deer love oats, but some are much more attractive to deer than others. Whitetail oats are an extremely attractive oat variety. In fact, they're so attractive that university researchers had to remove it from grain production studies because it was so heavily grazed by deer. Whitetail Institute research showed that whitetail oats are very high in sugar and are winter hardy as well. When the Whitetail Institute combined whitetail oats with small amounts of specifically selected winter wheat and triticale to boost cold tolerance even further, the result was Whitetail Oats Plus, the premium oat planting product designed for early fall planting for deer. It establishes and grows quickly, contains high levels of sugar for maximum attraction, and provides enhanced cold tolerance. If you're looking for a fast-growing and extremely attractive forage for your fall food plots, look no further than Whitetail Oats Plus from the Whitetail Institute.
He's behind that brush right there, but he's a shooter if he'll come out.
Ryan Cedars is an avid whitetail hunter from Texas and has been utilizing the MoonGuide for nearly a decade. Focusing on mature bucks in multiple states every season, Ryan understands the significance of being in the right place at the right time and uses MoonGuide data to increase his chances of catching these elusive bucks moving during daylight.
Are you kidding me? That's definitely him.
Harvesting 9 bucks that surpassed the coveted 170-inch mark, Ryan's success speaks for itself.
This is definitely not only my biggest Oklahoma buck, but I'm gonna go ahead and say he's my biggest buck ever. He is a monster, real pretty.
This deer right here is, it was killed in Oklahoma. Name was Nemesis, scored 171. South Texas deer named Milo that I killed with my bow, scored 180. Brush hog right here, killed in South Texas, scored 181. Compact post-mature deer. Trashy, killed in Oklahoma, scored 186. Gnarls, killed in Oklahoma, scored 193. Slim Shady, killed in Oklahoma, scored 175. Snickers, killed in South Texas, first big buck we killed on our South Texas place, scored a little over 200. Okay, I had a great 2018 season with these two big deer. This deer I killed in southern Kansas with my muzzleloader. He's a 205-inch non-typical. And then of these two deer, this one that I killed in South Texas, we called him the headquarters buck. He scores 194, and I killed him in the early afternoon of a red moon day.
Yeah, he looks good.
You know, I think 6 of these 9 deer were killed on the red moon. Some of that information we got by backtracking it. You know, some of it I knew when I killed it because I was looking at my MoonGuide. And the results I've seen from that, it's impressive, especially when those peak activity times line up within the first 2 hours of daylight or the 2 hours leading into sunset.
Here he comes. I'm gonna wait for him to get broadside. You on him? It's early, just before 5 o'clock. November 10th. What we call the headquarters buck. I'm pretty fired up. It's unbelievable how early he came out.
Man, he is beautiful. Unbelievable mass. Looks like this little drop might be over an inch, but what a pretty deer. God. Nice mass. Really good mass. What a pretty deer.
Looking back at a lot of these, from the time I really started using the MoonGuide a lot in 2016, it's amazing how many of these 9 bucks were killed around the red moon or around the predicted time.
You know, he's been around that we paid attention to him for a few years. He lives, we call him the headquarters buck because he lives so close to our main camp headquarters here. He doesn't come to any feed station that we have or any normal trail cameras. Man, he is a pretty deer. All his tines curving forward, great brow tines, nothing broken, just a real pretty deer.
Coming up next.
What in the world did we kill? Look at this dude.
This segment of Team 200 is brought to you by Luminoc. Light 'em up. This week's In the Field segment is brought to you by Land Pros.
So a lot of the ways that you can have a recreational farm pay for a lot of the things that you want done on it is through your local county, farm service agencies. A lot of times they'll do cost sharing, with either timber stand improvement, maybe some ponds. They have CRP programs, multiple different programs, whether it be improved pheasant habitat or they have pollinator programs. Or they're all amazing programs to help not only wildlife but income at the same time too. Where you have to be in mid-contract management programs where you have to maintain them, but not nearly as much as you would on a crop farm. So it's just one other way that you can make income, from these recreational farms and also have improvements done at the same time.
For more information, visit landpros.com. This segment of Team 200 is brought to you by Banks Outdoors, hunting blinds, deer feeders, and watering systems. Ohio native Ben Rising is no stranger to giant whitetails. With 12 bow kills over the 170-inch mark and 2 surpassing 200 inches, Ben's success and big buck strategies are second to none. Working in the timber industry for the majority of his life, Ben has acquired an intimate knowledge of the whitetail woods. Combining this expertise with over 20 years of experience chasing mature whitetails, this Buckeye bow hunter knows what it takes to harvest monster bucks consistently.
Yes! Oh my gosh, we just killed a big monster. Yes! Kyle, I love you. Yes! That was unbelievable.
We kind of celebrated a little bit, and the emotions just sets in of what just happened when you take a deer of this caliber.
My gosh. Would you look at this giant? Oh my gosh. And to kill a deer like this on their own terms, in their own environment, just no bait, just hunting them. There's no better feeling, man. He is a monster of a deer.
One thing that I go to that a lot of people I think really miss the boat, and they should check this out, and it's the MoonGuide. I truly believe in the MoonGuide. It's not a fail-proof system, but the MoonGuide will tell you the best times to hunt deer. Everything revolves around the moon, and I know there's so many people that argue that and say that it doesn't, but I have hunted deer way too long to know that the moon does affect the movement of animals.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, Kyle, thanks for hanging with me for 11 days. 11 days, 2 booners. He is a giant. What in the world did we kill? Look at this dude. I think he had a split here too, and he broke it. Whitetail Edge, 2016. Number 2 booner for me this year. I don't know, man. I don't even know what to say. I killed 2 booners last year, 2 this year. I just don't enter the season expecting that you're gonna, I work at it to do that, but I don't know. You don't think that that's exactly what's gonna happen. and I still have an Ohio tag.
Coming up next. This segment of Team 200 is brought to you by MoonGuide. Plan your best hunt.
The Deer Hunter's MoonGuide tells you the best days, times, and locations to encounter a mature buck on his feet during daylight hours. Are you tired of hunting nocturnal trail camera bucks? Do you ever wonder why bucks only show up during daylight on certain days each year? The Deer Hunter's MoonGuide is here to help. The MoonGuide is unlike any other lunar tool you have ever seen. It's not related to the moon's phase. The MoonGuide utilizes elements such as the moon's gravitational pull, position, and other elements that affect deer movement. Save time and money by knowing the best days and weeks each year for effective preseason scouting, scheduling time off work, or planning out-of-state hunts by focusing on the MoonGuide's red moon periods. For over 20 years, the MoonGuide has been the #1 rated lunar tool for serious hunters. And now, the MoonGuide is available as a new mobile app where you can access red moon data, weather forecasts, video tips and tactics, the rut guide, and more. Order your MoonGuide dial today at moonguide.com or download the new app in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
Team 200 is brought to you by MoonGuide. Plan your best hunt. Ozonics. Undetectable, undeniable. Covert scouting cameras. Hoyt. Get serious. Get Hoyt. Lone Wolf tree stands. I Am Alpha. Quiet Cat. All-terrain, all-electric. Land Pros. Professional land sales, auctions, and management. And by Scrape Stick, Hunt Stand, Conquest Sense, and Illusion Hunting Systems.
And if you look at, the Hunt Stand app, I knew that Pinhead was probably going to head north.
With over a century of combined knowledge and experience chasing mature whitetails, the guys from Team 200 know a thing or two about hunting the biggest bucks in the woods. If these guys have anything in common, other than the giant bucks hanging on their walls, they know these monster whitetails don't come easy, especially with any regularity. Playing the game with these survival experts is what these die-hard whitetail enthusiasts live for. And it takes hard work, dedication, focus, and a solid strategy to put these world-class whitetails on the ground season after season.
Between me, Hayes, Seymour, Miles, the guys that are on the team, I don't know specifically, but I would say there's probably 30 plus Boone and Crockett deer just between us killed. 7 deer over 200 inches, and all those deer were killed on red moon days.
I try to plan, I've used MoonGuide ever since Jeff Murray started this years ago, had the VHS tapes. I'm a firm believer just in what I've seen over the years. So I tried to plan my vacation during that time frame of red moon. What an amazing creature.
It absolutely has had an effect on my hunting and everybody on Team 200's, along with thousands of other guys across the country. They've all had a lot of success with it. It's an inexpensive tool, and we spend a lot of money as hunters on gimmicks and gadgets, and this is not one of them. This can really, really change the game for you.
5:44 is when I texted Chris and Adam that I just killed my 4th 200. If you look at the date on the MoonGuide today, the red moon was at 5:41. I don't know how you get much closer than that. The MoonGuide is not a cure-all, fix-all. It's not 100%. It's not going to magically make a big deer appear where there's not one living. What it really is it's part of a system of helping you predict when to hunt and where to hunt. Because the bottom line is, a big deer has got to be up on his feet moving during daylight for you to kill him, point blank.
We almost had him. I needed like 7 more yards, and I don't know what that is.
Whenever you start killing the upper end deer or targeting one specific buck, you're going to have to really watch that window of red moon days and try to plan your hunt right around those days. And we're going in on those red moons, and only if the conditions are right that support that red moon.
That's the way to do it. November 20th. Overhead moon this morning, I think at 10:30. You know, within 2 hours of that overhead. Every deer like this, over 170 I've shot, has been on that overhead moon. I can't say enough about it. And it paid off again with my biggest 8-point, I think, ever. What a giant. So this past year, we actually took all the information from the MoonGuide and built the MoonGuide app. So we've got all the dial information on the app, but we've actually enhanced it a little bit. There's a Facebook version for the app where you can post pictures, comments, chat back and forth with fellow hunters about what's going on. We've got a pro access version of the app. We've brought the rut guide back, which is going to give you rut predictions for the entire month of November. We've got a actual journal built into the app where you can make notes in the journal every day about what's going on, what you saw. And then we've also got a pro discount page where we've got a ton of some of the best companies in the industry offering great discounts to the members of the MoonGuide app. So you got to check it out. You can go to the App Store or Google Play, look it up under Deer Hunters MoonGuide, and be sure to check it out.